to Hilton Garden. And the one which is most critical, the one of Kappa, because Kappa around there, there are so many industries, and the residential area, people crossing that road. There was one bridge that was supposed to be put there. What happens to that one now?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is true that during public participation, there were actual requests of more than 5 footbridges. But Mr. Speaker, of course, we work within budgetary constraints. If Honourable Member is, if I got her right, she's suggesting that there was a request for a footbridge around Kappa, around Nation, in the Mlolongo area. And Mr. Speaker, the truth is that the footbridge, the one I have read in Katani, is few meters from where the Honourable Member is mentioning. Of course, it will be a bit of a walk from the exact position where she's saying, but in our consideration, it was important to start with the one in Katani junction there, as you can imagine, Mr. Speaker, in the financial constraint we are facing as a country, we've been able to set aside 1.2 billion for this exercise. In the next phase, of course, Mr. Speaker, finances permitting, we shall increase the number of the footbridges. But the Honourable Member's concern is founded on true position presented by the members of public during public participation.
Next question, 072 of 2023. I have a letter from Honorable Abur nominating Joyce Kamene to ask the question on his behalf.
Yeah, I arise to ask the question 072/2023 on behalf of the Member of Parliament, Honorable Paul Obor, Rango MP, to the Cabinet Secretary, Roads. The first one, explain the circumstances under which construction of the Riosiro Rongo University Chamgir Wodu Road has stalled for the last 2 years. The second one, state plans that the ministry has put in place to ensure that the contractor resumes construction of the said road. And number 3, further state the timeline of the completion of the said road.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg your indulgence. The question from Honorable Abor is similar to other 6 questions, all of which are asking one question: to explain why roads have stalled. Mr. Speaker, if in the interest of time and for the benefit of the members and for good order, you may allow me, I could address the question raised by Honorable John Jukuna, which is the mother question. The mother question in the sense, number 10, Mr. Speaker, asks why all roads have stalled. So that, Mr. Speaker, when I give the global picture...
Hold on, Minister.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
For purposes of parliamentary record, each question must be asked. The only thing we can do is questions on stalled roads. If you have answers, we can have members specifically ask, then you answer.
Yes,
How many members have questions on stalled roads? Let me see. You may take your seat, Minister. Honorable Mulyungi, is your question on stalled roads? You have question 77. It's a stalled road. You may ask the question and sit to await an answer in combination with others.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 078/2023.
77 or 78?
77 is not on stored
Okay,
project.
fine.
It is different.
Okay.
But the one I'm asking is a stored project.
Okay, ask 78.
Could the Cabinet Secretary provide details of total contract sum and the contract period for the construction of Gunenu Road and Nziu Bridge in Kitui County? Mr. Speaker, Gunenu Road is the one which is stored, but Nziu Bridge is not stored. It is ongoing. Number two, could the CS explain why the construction of the said road and bridge, the said road are stored for such a long time?
You are saying the same road and bridge. And
No,
you
no,
just
no, I've
the
said,
bridge is
I've
not
clarified, Mr. Speaker.
stored. Okay,
Yes. The
Go
bridge is going on,
okay.
but the road are
Is
stored.
stalled.
Yes. Why it has taken such a long period, and state when the projects are expected to be completed. Number
Right.
three, clarify whether there were any corporate social responsibility projects provided for the contracts of the two. And if so, provide details and timelines for delivery.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CNN, yours is also on stalled road.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask this question, 79 of 2023, to our young and able Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport. One, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the status of the remaining section of Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Migwani, Bondoni Road, which was being upgraded to bitumen standards and as stored? Two, state when construction of the said road is expected to be completed and the measures that the ministry has put in place to ensure that the project is not abandoned before its completion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Peter Masara. Peter Masara, your question is also on a stalled road.
The question is on an installed bridge, Kokende Arombe Bridge in
Okay.
Suna West constituency.
It's not a stalled road.
Okay.
Okay, we'll leave it aside. Gideon Mulyungi.
Mr. Speaker, the other ones are not stored.
Clerk, how did you allocate Gideon Mulyungi 3 questions in one day? The next, in fact, he has 4. Yes. So we'll leave out Gideon 81. We go to 83, another Gideon Mulyungi. Is it on a stalled road?
You can answer, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you can
The
ask
reason,
that.
the reason, Mr. Speaker, is I gave these questions at the beginning of this
No
session.
problem, just proceed and
Okay,
answer. I didn't
okay,
ask you
okay.
anything.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 77/2023 to the CS. Number one, provide details on the road total contract sum and the contract period for construction of Kalisasi Mumbuni Road, Phase 1 and Phase 2. Indicate when the construction of the Kalisasi Mumbuni Road is expected to be completed. Consider extending the construction of Kalisasi Mumbuni Road to Mumbuni Shopping Center instead of the current terminus. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Go on to 81.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the CS provide a status report on the use of Nairobi Expressway since its inauguration and how it has improved traffic congestion in the city? Number two, state when the ministry intends to improve the main
That
Mombasa.
is slightly different, Gideon. You can hold on that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
We go to 83. Ask 83.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could the CS provide details of the total contract sum and the contract period for construction of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road? Number 2, explain the causes for the delay in the construction of the said road, which is yet to be completed, including work relating to drainage, access culverts, and the reinstatement of services such as water pipes and the street lights, among others. Mr. Speaker, the road is completed, but the services which were removed have not been reinstated. Thank you.
Last one, John Njuguna, member for Kiambaa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask question number 115, 2023 to the Minister. Provide a list of all stored loads project in the country, enumerating the reasons for the stalling of each of the projects. Question 2, provide details of all pending bills owed to load contractors in the country and explain the measures in place to settle and the status of each of the pending bill. Question 3, explain the measures that the ministry is taking to ensure that the stored works resume and that all pending bills are immediately settled. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, from the way I see it, answer all the other questions, then you will come to this very broad one of John Njuguna that is likely to attract almost a supplementary from everybody. Because when he says a list of all stalled road projects, I'm sure every member has a story to tell about stalled road projects. So answer all the others. We'll finish with Kawanjiku's question.
I actually beg your indulgence, Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
to start with Kawanjiko's question, Honorable Kawanjiko's question, or Honorable John Njuguna's question, because once I answer that, the rest of the questions fall in place in terms of the consequence. And that's why I requested you earlier.
Go ahead.
It's like the mother question is Honorable Njuguna's question. Mr. Speaker, I will start with question number 10, then I'll come to the rest. The State Department of Roads, through its 3 implementing agencies, has an ongoing roads portfolio of over 800 projects with an outstanding cost of approximately 763 billion shillings as at 28th of February 2023, sorry. So, Speaker, the reason for the emphasis of 763 billion and the date given of 28 February is because with interest, the figure keeps changing, Mr. Speaker, as time goes. Out of this outstanding, an amount of 150 billion is related to certified works, actually 145 billion, related to certified works not yet paid. That is the pending bills. Most of the 800 projects are currently on slow implementation, while others have completely stopped due to inability of the government to avail adequate budget over the years. We note, Mr. Speaker, that some of these contracts have stalled for over 5 years and some almost 10 years, 9 approaching 10 years, Mr. Speaker. And I have provided the annex, Mr. Speaker. It will be tabled to the House. One of our officers has the annex here. And these roads, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me just for people to appreciate where it's coming from, roads like, Mr. Speaker, in Bungoma, Oaxaca, Cariosionde, Tulienge, Sirisha, up to Chwele, Mr. Speaker, have been pending since 2017. Or roads, Mr. Speaker, like the Natu Bridge, Kagwata, Mulika Market in Meru, Mr. Speaker, which was also from 2016. Or roads like Kilgoris, Olgorian, which is, for example, Mr. Speaker, from 2020. Or roads, Mr. Speaker, like the one in Danger, Chemuswa, Cheptiret, Keses, Lesos, and Cheptiret Mo University, Makin and Hills in Nandi County, Mr. Speaker, which have been stalling from 2016. So these are just but some of the examples of stalled roads. And honorable members, a number of them have come to the office and we've discussed these issues. Contractors are owed currently 145 billion in terms of pending bills, with local contractors being owed 50 billion and foreign contractors being owed 60 billion. Part of the pending bills, Mr. Speaker, which is 35 billion, is, Mr. Speaker, owed to matters related to land acquisition. Mr. Speaker, the actions we are taking are as follows. In line with the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, we have committed ourselves to complete all the ongoing projects. Number two, we are having, Mr. Speaker, negotiations with contractors. Within the last 6 months, Mr. Speaker, when we have been able to secure some amount, we have given the magnitude of the pending bills, Mr. Speaker, given the magnitude of the pending bills, this amount was spread thin among service providers, and contractors could not be able to go back to site and resume works. And remember, Mr. Speaker, this spreading thin is not as a result of decision of the ministry, it's the budgeting by this august House. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, as a result of that situation, we have had to resort to a situation where we are requesting the National Treasury to allow us to negotiate with contractors who are willing to resume works. It is through the resumption plan that a few road projects across the country have resumed, and you've seen some of them. We are launching them. Mr. Speaker, it's important to say this in this very important chamber, that, Mr. Speaker, you have seen us even relaunch projects that were initially launched almost 8 years ago because they were long forgotten, like the case where the president was launching a project in Nyandarua County recently. And I know many people are concerned why it's being launched again, because, Mr. Speaker, if a project has stayed for more than 7, 8 years, it's long forgotten. And, Mr. Speaker, it needs to be given a new lease of life. It is like, Mr. Speaker, being redone for the first time. Mr. Speaker, working with the National Treasury and in keeping with the economic plans of the government in the current financial year, Mr. Speaker, to stop borrowing, it is expected that in the next financial year, the economic situation will have improved to enable resumption of access to funding on affordable terms. And, Mr. Speaker, we know that, Mr. Speaker, as a result of the financial situation we have and the economic situation we have in the country, there was a decision, Mr. Speaker, to stop continued digging of the financial hole. And as a result of that, Mr. Speaker, projects have been unable to be to resume on time. But we have, pursuant to advice from Treasury, we've been patient, Mr. Speaker, because we were told if we keep in with the financial plan that the Treasury has for this financial year, in the beginning of the next financial year, we might be able to access financial support and lending, Mr. Speaker, at affordable terms for us to borrow and clear the remaining projects. Mr. Speaker, another measure we've undertaken is that, Mr. Speaker, we are not starting any new project unless they are funded by developing partners on concessional terms, or if this House, Mr. Speaker, allocates funds to deal with emergencies such as security roads or access to new government projects, for example, dams, hospitals, public institutions, or new housing projects. We appreciate, Mr. Speaker, the bilateral and multilateral development partners for their immense support on concessional terms. This has enabled us to start new projects that otherwise we could not have done. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to use this opportunity to mention the Horn of Africa Gateway Development Projects, which are funded by World Bank and African Development Bank as an example of this concessional support, and we have other bilateral support we receive from other lenders across the country. Cognizant of this financial situation, which, Mr. Speaker, has built up over the last 5 years, our first duty as a responsible government is to stop the situation from deteriorating further through concessional and affordable borrowing. Mr. Speaker, we decided recently to access the annuity fund to enable us Mr. Speaker, continue this project. A meeting will take place tomorrow to ask the committee responsible for annuity fund to allow us to access 12 billion that is in the annuity account. This amount will enable us to pay some of the pending bills and hence bring some contractors back on site. And a number of projects will soon resume. Mr. Speaker, in this arrangement, I want to thank the contractors, Mr. Speaker, who, despite the situation we have been facing, decided to continue with the projects even way long after we've not been able to pay them. I want to, Mr. Speaker, you will see the report I have tabled. Some of the contractors, we owe them up to 17 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, some of the local contractors, we owe them up to 5 billion. I totally appreciate them for their patience, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank some of the banks that, as a result of our intervention, have been kind to the contractors, because a number of them could easily have lost their property, Mr. Speaker, through auction as a result of non-payment of the facilities they have received because of our situation. Mr. Speaker, the tabulation of the same will be tabled, Mr. Speaker, and each member of this House will have an opportunity through your kind office to see, Mr. Speaker, the projects that they are in their counties or their constituencies, and, Mr. Speaker, understand the situation where it is. This situation, I repeat, Mr. Speaker, is unfortunately an inherited situation. The ministry, I know many Kenyans are asking themselves, why is the ministry not facilitating construction of roads immediately? This question would have been asked 5 years ago, Mr. Speaker, in 2016, 2017, 2020, when all these projects stalled. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, our job is not to continue writing the book of lamentations that this was not done 5 years ago, 7 years, 8 years ago. Is to appreciate the magnitude of the situation at the moment and work around the clock to negotiate with the contractors and request those that still have capacity to finance themselves to go on site, Mr. Speaker. Even in this 12 billion, I want to assure our members here, even the 12 billion we are going to receive, it's a drop in the ocean compared to a payment of, Mr. Speaker, to contractors of over 90 billion directly of already certificates that are due. But there are some contractors who are ready on negotiation. If we pay them certain figure and they have more than one road, Mr. Speaker, they will be willing to go on site. And Mr. Speaker, I've seen Honorable Member of Kajiado North sitting here. He knows that, Mr. Speaker, one of the contractors we negotiated for his road to be constructed and for the contractor to be on site. Now going to the other specific questions, that Mr. Speaker, is the global situation as requested as asked by Honorable John Juguna. Now let me go to the specific questions of the projects that have been mentioned by honorable members, starting with 73 of 2023 by Honorable Paul Obwor of Rongo. Mr. Speaker, the contract for upgrading bitumen standard and performance-based routine maintenance of Rio City, Moi University, Rongo campus, Ogwedi to God Job Center Road was awarded to Metropol Corporations, Mr. Speaker, in 2019 at a tender sum of 1.1 billion. The upgrading commenced on 20th August 2019 and was scheduled to be completed in 30 months. That is by 20th February 2022, with a defect liability period of 12 months and a maintenance period of 36 months. To date, Mr. Speaker, 42 months have elapsed, being 143% of contract period against an overall progress of approximately 68%, with 18.2 kilometers of blacktop achieved out of the total scope of 30 kilometers of Ogwedi Good Job Center section of the project, totaling to 12 kilometers, has been substantially completed and are awaiting handing over to the employer, that is Kera, and that will enable us to continue maintenance. To date, Mr. Speaker, the amount certified for payment, which is pending, Mr. Speaker, to this contractor is 696 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. I also wish to add that the contractor suspended works on site effective October 2021. That is, Mr. Speaker, more than a year ago. due to financial constraint attributed to delayed payment of IPCs, which affected their cash flow. Currently, the contractor is owed 347 billion in lieu of the works done. Number two, Mr. Speaker, KERA intends to take over the parts of the work that have been substantially completed, as I've already indicated, for the Ogwethi God Job Center section for the project totaling 12 kilometers, upon which the contractor will be able to claim and receive part of the retention monies held by the authority and with which the contractor has received instructions to resume works on site. These are innovative ways we are applying for the contractor to be able to come on site. Further, KERA has provided provision of Kenya shillings 132 million shillings in the budget for the financial year 2022-2023 for the project, and once the exchequer has released the funds for the above, the contractor will be able to proceed with the remaining works. Due to the financial constraints experienced by the contractor because of the delay in payment, he has applied for extension of time, understandably, of 639 days, and an evaluation of the same is ongoing, Mr. Speaker. And these 639 days are also already running. They are increasing. So the process will be considered as we continue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on question 77 of 2023 by Honorable Gideon Mulyunki again, Mr. Speaker, I will respond as follows. That is in relation to Kilisasi Mumbisi Road, phase 1 and 2. Mr. Speaker, the contract sum of phase 1 of the Kilisasi Mumbini Road, Kiseveni Kalisai Primary School section is 74 million shillings, 953,255. The contract for the construction of the 1.7 kilometer road was awarded to Ms. Simora Group Limited and commenced on 16th August 2021. The contract sum of phase 2 of the Kalisasi Mumbuni Road, Kalisasi Ikime section is 38,172,976 and 95 cents. The contract for the construction of the 1 kilometer road was awarded to Ms. M&J Holding Limited and commenced on 30th September 2022. The contract period of phase 1 was 18 months, and the works are expected to be completed by 16th of February 2023. The contractor has completed all the instructed major works and has requested for substantial completion inspection, which will be conducted at the end of this month. The contract period of phase 2 was 9 months, and the works are expected to be completed by June 2023. The phase 3 contract terminates at Ikime Center, which is 1 kilometer short to Mumbuni Shopping Center. KERA will consider extending the road to Mumbuni Shopping Center once the funds become available. Further, KERA extended the phase 1 contract by 0.44 kilometers at a cost of 11.2 million to close the gap between Kalisasi Primary School and Kalisasi Center. The total length of the phase 1 contract is therefore 2.14 kilometer. Mr. Speaker, on the question 78 of stock 2023 by the same honorable member of Mwingi Central, Mr. Speaker, the contract of the upgrading to bitumen standards and performance-based routine maintenance of Nguni New Road, E4119 Road, was awarded to Ms. Admo Construction Limited on 16th May 2017 at a contract sum of 1,484,617,735. The upgrading works commenced on 14th July 2017 and was scheduled to be completed 30 months up to the 14th of January 2020, with defects liability period of 12 months and a maintenance period of 36 months. To date, 69 months have elapsed, being 230% of the contract period against an overall progress of 76%, with 22.46 kilometers blacktop achieved out of the total scope of 35 kilometers. The contract for the emergency construction of Enziu Bridge and approach road was awarded to Ms. Q Construction Limited on 23rd December 2021 at a contract sum of 578 million shillings, 951,128. The works commenced on 5th April 2022 and were scheduled to be completed in 18 months up to 5th October 2023 with defect liability period of 24 months. To date, 12 months, 66% of the contract period has elapsed against an overall progress of 26%. In regard to the contract for the upgrading to bitumen standard and performance-based routine maintenance of New Road E4119 Road, the contractor suspended works effective October 2021 due to financial constraints attributed to delayed payment of pending IPCs, which affected their cash flow. To date, the amount certified for payment is 612,494,144 cents, which is 40.25% of the contract sum. And as 14 April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total of 175 million shillings, 878 and 72 shillings and 57 cents. The ministry through the carer has provided a provision of 72 million shillings in the budget for financial year 2022-2023 for the project, and once there is an exchequer release funds and payment is made, the contractor shall resume works immediately. As for the emergency construction of Nziu Bridge and Approach Road, the amount certified for payment is 97,955,692 and 21 cents, which is 16.92% of the contract sum of 578,951 and 128. And as of 14th April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total sum of 23 million shillings. The ministry through carer has provided a provision for 92 million in the budget for financial year 2022-2023 for the project, and once there is exchequer release for funds and payment is made, the contractor shall resume works immediately. The two contracts do not have any provision for corporate social responsibility, and the contractors have not indicated any desire to do the same. Mr. Speaker, I will move to question number 79 of 2023 from Honorable Charles Ngusha, otherwise known as CNN, on Mwingi West. Mr. Speaker, the outstanding works for the section of the Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Migwani, Mbondoni Road was a variation to the scope of works under the addendum number 3 at a cost of 3,141,024,203 and 86 cents, and it's to be funded by the government of Kenya. The scope of works is summarized as follows. Migwani Bondoni section to junction with A3 is 20.9 kilometers. The main road to Ndolo's Corner Road, Tulia Town and Migwani Town Road is 12.87 kilometers. The 10 kilometers have been completed from Migwani Town to Tulia Town, including some town roads, and therefore the percentage of physical work completed for this additional section is 29.6%, bringing the total completion of the entire project to 90.5%, which, of course, if you consider the main road of the project. The project end of defect notification period is on 4th October 2023 this year. However, the contractor has suspended works due to the following reasons. Delayed payment of certificates amounting to 1,155,896,907. Delayed land acquisition and delayed land acquisition. The above two factors are likely to affect the contract period. However, the government has provided 150 million for financial year 2023-2024 for resumption of work. Mr. Speaker, I move to the question asked by the member of Forsuna West, Honorable Peter Masara. Mr. Speaker, on the construction of the bridge. Mr. Speaker, from our perspective, the road and the bridge go together. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I'll respond as follows. That is question number 80 of 2023. The Kokendi Arombe Bridge was procured by Kera as construction of Munyu Bridge and approach roads on Kokendi Arombe Road. The contractor slowed down the rate of works due to financial constraint attributed to delayed payment of pending IPCs, which affected their cash flow. To date, the amount certified for payment is 12,463,881 and 87 cents, 62% of contract sum of 31,140,484. And as of 14th of April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total sum of 4,962,881, which is due. Before the slowing down of the rate of works, the contractor had completed the major works on the structure, including the flanges, the top and the bottom slabs, and the deck before running into cash flow constraints. The contract was awarded to MES Regional Cost Mainter Limited on 9th July 2019 at a contract sum of 31,140,484 and 20 cents. The works commenced 7th November 2019 and were scheduled to be completed 12 months up to 7th November 2020 with defects liability period of 12 months. To date, 41 months have elapsed against an overall progress of approximately 55.75%, that being 314% of the contract period. An amount certified for payment is 12,462,881. Having completed major works on the structure, the contractor has been instructed to prioritize the backfilling and construction of the approach roads to Arombe dispensary to allow public use, especially during the heavy rains. The ministry, through CARA, has also prioritized to provide budgetary provision to the project in the supplementary budget in the financial year 2022-2023. Mr. Speaker, unless Mr. Speaker, the question I left the expressway, and there's question 82 of 2023. No, 82, Mr. Speaker. 82, I think, is again related in terms of the pending roads. Mr. Speaker, the member of Nyatike, Honorable Tom Odege, Mr. Speaker, has asked a question that I need to respond on number 83 or 82 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, in relation to Masara Sori or Kolomwok Road in Nyatike constituency. Mr. Speaker, and I'll respond as follows. The contract for the upgrading to bitumen standard and performance-based routine maintenance of Masara Sori Road was awarded to MES Seabird Engineering Service Limited on 16 November 2018. As members will realize, 2018, at a contract sum of 1,521,882,807.50. The works commenced on 3rd January 2019 and were scheduled to be completed in 30 months up to 3rd July 2021 with defects liability period of 12 months and a maintenance period of 36 months. To date, 51 months have elapsed, being 170% of contract period against an overall progress of approximately 83.88% with 28.98 kilometers of blacktop achieved out of the total scope of 41 kilometers. Of the 28.98 kilometers blacktop achieved by the contractor, works totaling 20.5 kilometers were successfully taken over by the employer CARA and are currently under performance-based routine maintenance contract. Currently, the contractor is owed 286,844,972.06 in lieu of works done, and they slowed down the rate of work on site effective December 2021. The contractor slowed down the rate of work on site is currently operating at 5% of the initial work program due to financial constraint attributed to delayed payment of pending IPCs, which affect the cash flow. To date, the amount certified for payment is 936,564,590.59 cents. This is being 62% of the contract sum of the 1,521,882,807.50 cents. And as of 14th April 2023, the contractor is yet to be paid a total of 286,844,972.06 cents for IPC 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14. Further, the road section within Luanda Konyango area traverses a swampy section which floods during heavy rains, and the road has been substantially raised and provided with several cross culverts to vent the water flow. However, the contractor could not complete the backfilling of the culverts, which was to be done in rock fill due to cash crunch. The contractor has been instructed to prioritize these works to enable the public to use the raised road section during flooding season, pending completion of the works. The ministry through KERA has provided a provision of 141,525,000 in the supplementary budget of this financial year for the project, and once there is an exchequer release of funds and payment is made, the contractor shall resume works immediately. Given the financial constraint experienced by the contractor due to delayed payment, the applied extension of time of 582 days so far is under evaluation. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, on that matter is the question by Honorable Gideon Mulyung of Mwingi Central on the question of the road of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road. Mr. Speaker, the construction of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road was done as part of the project for construction of upgrading to bitumen standard of 3.
Mr. Speaker, you stopped me before I asked that question. So the CS is answering before asking, yes. For purposes of the hazard. Yeah. Thank you.
Question 083.
083.
Mwingi Slaughterhouse.
No, not that one.
That's the one he was answering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've seen it. It is 81, 2023.
He was answering 83.
No, he has answered that one.
Okay.
Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, provide a status report on the use of Nairobi Expressway.
Not yet.
Since its inauguration.
Honorable Mulyungi, I think you are...
That is what he was answering.
Just hold on. He had not reached there. He was answering your question 083.
Which he has
Mwingi
answered.
Slaughterhouse. He was answering.
Okay, let him proceed.
Mr. Speaker.
But if you are so far satisfied with the answer, I can stop him there.
Mr. Speaker, I haven't answered the question, so it would be good for good record to proceed and respond to the question by the honorable member. Mr. Speaker, I sympathize with the situation because I think there was an earlier question that perhaps he did not really ask for the answer, but I've already answered, and I think it's 80, it's earlier than that.
Go on
But
and
Mr.
answer
Speaker,
83.
Mr. Speaker, I proceed with 83. The construction of Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road was done as part of the project for the construction of upgrading to bitumen standard of 3.7 kilometer KCB Slaughterhouse Road in Mwingi, Kitui County, whose employer was the Department of Slum Upgrading under the State Department of Housing and Urban Development. I wish to state that the Kenya Urban Roads Authority was only called upon to provide project oversight role. The project had two lots, lot 1 and 2. The project contract sum of 137,707,776, which cover 3.7 kilometers as indicated in the table below. Mwingi Slaughterhouse Road was 0.7 kilometers at a sum of 30,699,400. Mwingi MTC Nzeluni Miambambi Road, which was 107,008,376. Mr. Speaker, and the total road network is 3.7 kilometers. The contract period was 12 months that ran from 29th June 2020 to 29 June 2021 and has since been completed and wound up and contractor demobilized. Regarding the delays, I wish to say that the initial project had several challenges as inadequacies in the provision of relocation of services as well as provisions in the quantities of access culverts. I must admit that there was disruptions in water, Mr. Speaker, supplies, and street lighting due to the damaging of the infrastructure during construction, which is a common occurrence in the road construction projects. However, the contractor did everything possible to restore the supplies and the street lighting within the given time. He was also able to install several access culverts to the affected household. The provision of access culverts may not have been adequate, and to this end, Kura is looking for funds to address the inequities. The key issue about this question, Mr. Speaker, is to note that the specs of the infrastructure were not done by the way Ministry of Roads does, because it was a project under housing. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, to address the remaining inadequacies, Kura, once they get funds, will continue from where this contractor left, but we can confirm that he completed his work, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I suppose in a combined way, I have answered all the stalled project questions. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All your houses on the expressway. I have a few requests on stalled roads. Member for Kandui.
Granting me the opportunity to ask a supplementary question. And first, to thank the Cabinet Secretary for appearing before the House. First, could the Cabinet Secretary confirm that the Kakamega, Navaholo, Dorofu, Sangalo, and Musikoma Road falls among the stalled road projects? And two, could he indicate to this House and the great people of Kandui who is the contractor? What is the contractual sum? How much money has been paid? Because the contractor has not been on site at all ever since the year 2019. And could he indicate also to the House, taking into account the actions he has proposed, have they engaged this contractor to get him to resume the site? And two, if they have so engaged him, when can the great people of Kandui expect this contractor on site? Because 2 weeks ago, the members of the residents were actually planting bananas on that road, and this is a very big embarrassment to our government.
Thank you. That's enough. Member for Dadaab. Honorable members, the screen is full and has been full since we started. So I don't know whether it's full because of the minister who left or the minister who is on the podium. So what I will now resort to for this round is you probably be inconvenienced to show your hands so that one after the other. I've given Farah. When he finishes, then we'll come to you. And one question at a time. I'll take the minister record the first 6.
Mr.
We've done
Speaker.
Kandui, now we are Dadaab.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, the minister said that there is not going to be any new roads that are going to be started. Mr. Minister, we have got borders with 5 countries. We have our borders with Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia. Northeastern Province is the only country that is the only province, the former Northeastern Province, is the only province that does not have a tarmac road that moves from Nairobi all the way to the border places. In view of the fact that we have a lot of insecurity, our boys in uniform are being blown up in the road between Garissa and Liboi, Garissa and Hulugo, all the way to Mandera. Could he use this now as a conduit, as a security road, and promise this House that the infrastructure in that region to our neighboring Somalia will be taken care of as a security measure?
Thank you. Member for Nyatike.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have 2 questions to
Only
handle.
one.
No, I was standing in for
Only
Honorable Masara.
one. Just ask one question.
Okay. Let me concentrate on the road in Nyatike, the Masara Golumuk Road. When you look at the order paper, there was a mix-up. When I presented myself in the committee, when I was given notice to go to the committee, we handled Masara Muhoro. But ministers adequately answered my question about Masara Agolomuk, which I want to appreciate. The only concern I have, Honorable CS, currently there are a lot of rains. The area you have mentioned between Yakweri and Luanda Konyango, as we are talking now, the drainage is done, but backfilling has not been done. So the road is not in use. As much as the debt burden is there, can we have a quick fix so that the road can be motorable, so that our people can use the road all through to Migori? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Member for Taita Taveta, Women Rep. One question.
Thank you, Speaker. To the Minister, he has mentioned several roads which are stalls, and there's one, Jukini, Rombo, and Elasit, Bura, Mgange, Mbale, and Mtomogod. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister to tell us the status of these roads and what plan the government has for these roads, whether they're stalled or they're not stalled, whether they're still, which plan they have for these roads. Thank you.
Honorable Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is in regard to the emergencies we are facing right now following the flooding in Wajir North constituency. Wajir North is cut off from the entire country. It's not accessible. So could I ask the Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary, on what he is doing about the Buna Bridge, which has always been a perennial problem since independence, cutting off Wajir North from the rest of the country, and equally Hote Watiti Bridge, which has never been done, and the recently washed away Modogashe Tarmac, which was newly built. What are his plans to make sure that those roads and bridges are done to make sure that the citizens get services, as following the severe drought, now they are in another tragedy of flooding? Thank you.
Honorable Ngogoyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while I appreciate the answers that the CS, who is also my namesake, and Onesimus is a very important name, Mr. Speaker, because he's Onesimus Murkomen, I'm Onesimus Ngogoyo. It's good for me to mention, Mr. Speaker, because maybe I could be a CS one day.
Totally.
I want to ask the CS to appraise this House on the specific measures that the CS has taken in relation to the road carnage in this country. Mr. Speaker, I want him to tell this House, the accidents that we've seen, Pwani University, Wundanyi, the Naivasha issue, are they related to the incomplete projects that are around this country? The gracious lady, Mr. Speaker, has asked about the safety of road users along Mombasa Road. In Ngong, in Kiserian, Mr. Speaker, I am the Member of Parliament, there are serious issues. I think right now, the people who are dying out of accidents could be more than the people dying on COVID. For sure, there is a serious issue on our roads. There is a time National Transport and Safety Authority could be seen doing something. What is the CS doing? And what is the ministry doing about the deaths on our roads, Mr. Speaker? Does he have any cabinet memo that he has presented? What is he doing about it? What does this House, can he tell us on the specific measures that he has undertaken so that we know we are safe, Mr. Speaker? And these incomplete projects, are they related to the accidents that are happening, Mr. Speaker? I would want to hear that from the CS.
CS, I'll take two more. Member, say your name, honorable member. I can't see you clearly. Give him the mic. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My names are Sakimba Parashina, member of Parliament, Kajiado South constituency.
Sorry, member for community, your position has been hijacked by.
Thank you, sir.
Colleague.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, Honorable Speaker, I just stand to ask a question to the CS. Partly has been asked by Honorable Women Rep of Taita Taveta, but the road is about Ilasit Taveta Road. That road, Honorable Speaker, it will fall under the issue of emergency, if you are to talk about the emergency, if you are to talk about the issue of security, because the road is located in the border between Kenya and Tanzania, and if we talk about the economy, it is in between the Amboseli National Park, Game Reserve, and Savo National Park, and it also serves the issue of agricultural products, that supply of food. So when they are going to make a decision on which roads to do, this road has been put in pending for many years. So we want to ask the CS, what are the measures it's doing to make sure that a road that serves the economic purpose of this country is being neglected, whereas even if the money is not there, but some money is there, what is going to be done for that road? Another thing is about that road now is...
Roads are as important as security. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Minister tell this House and the Pofwebwe East how come the road from Misiro to Naitiri and Lugulu to Makuselwa, even after the Ministry paying the contractor advancement payment of around 150 million, the contractor has not even done 10% of that road, which is approximately around 4 kilometers of the first milestone. Secondly, how comes the contractor has not even maintained the road as to play within the contract ahead of works, Mr. Speaker? And finally, what undertaking is the ministry giving the Pofwebwe is that this road will be completed within the stipulated period, Honorable Speaker? Thank you.
Minister, you have those 10.
Mr. Speaker,
from
if you allow me, I'll start with a question asked by Honorable Cynthia Muge, who is asking about what we are doing, the roads and everybody. And this will help in all these questions being asked, Mr. Speaker, because I had already said earlier, and I think your orderlies had requested, I think I should table the list officially to the House. And I think, Mr. Speaker, once I do so, in the subsequent conversations, the near future, members will have a reference point of all the contracts in the entire 800 projects. Mr. Speaker, from there now, if honorable members want to consult with the agency or the ministry, we are available. Number two, Mr. Speaker, very important, I established a procedure of consultation with all leaders, all. Mr. Speaker, so far, we have had a meeting with 11 counties, the latest being Turkana this morning, county. And as a result of these meetings with Tarakaniti, Kisii, Baringo, we have had, Mr. Speaker, with Turkana, as I said this morning, among others, it's become more easier for members to make certain suggestions during the meeting. And Mr. Speaker, it's been even more helpful where you have a meeting with the county governor present, because then we deal with duplication of roads and allocation of resources. Again, Mr. Speaker, as I've said, my office is open. We are 11 counties. I will intensify the consultations. I think Kajiado is the next county, and we'll make sure that we do all the remaining 36 counties, Mr. Speaker, in maybe in the next 3 months. Our meetings start at 7:30 in the morning. By 9 we are done, so honorable members and the DGs are able to go back to their offices. And all these questions and clarifications, once they are asked there, they, Mr. Speaker, help us to do our job, but also helps the members of parliament to do their oversight work. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that on the specific questions asked, for example, the Navakolo Road, Mr. Speaker, asked by the honorable member for Kandui, Mr. Speaker, that road has stalled from 2017, if I remember, 2017, 2018, because I remember a little bit because some of the members had come to my office. And Mr. Speaker, what we have done is this stalled not because of the money. It stalled even at a time when we had resources, Mr. Speaker. As a result, it is as a result of the contractor. And we have decided to terminate the contract but by mutual consent with the contractor. And Mr. Speaker, the process of getting another contractor who is more effective is ongoing, and soon, Mr. Speaker, coupled with the mechanisms we are putting in place to ensure we have resources, that contract will continue and will be prioritized, Mr. Speaker, considering the length of period that has taken for this road to be done. Mr. Speaker, I'll ask the Honorable as far as question together with Honorable Sane on the question of the North as a whole. Mr. Speaker, indeed we are unable to do new roads, but if you remember in my answer, I put a rider that, Mr. Speaker, unless these are roads that are supported by development partners. The good news in the northern part of the country is that under this project of Horn of Africa, Mr. Speaker, projects funded by World Bank and African Development Bank, we've been able to do major projects. In fact, some of the major projects, Mr. Speaker, that are going to happen this year or in the next 3 or 4 years are all of them in the north. All these are new projects. And Mr. Speaker, it's going to change the situation in the northern part of the country. We are not only doing the roads, the main tarmac roads, but we are ensuring that all these roads provide spur roads to access all the centers, all the schools, facilitate support in the urban areas. Number two, that all these roads, Mr. Speaker, have ICT connectivity. The cable, the fiber optic cable, thank you, PS. The fiber optic cable is going to be laid along all these roads, Mr. Speaker, and you will see the reverse, that the northern part, which has been marginalized for a long time, might quickly become the part that will have more ICT connectivity thanks to these projects, Mr. Speaker. And going forward, all these projects are going to be accommodated. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure Honorable Farah that his concerns are going to be taken care of. We know that there is a road that's supposed to be done together with the highway from Lamu to Garissa, a connection to the border, Mr. Speaker, with our Somalia border to support security. You know that we have had issues in the recent past, Mr. Speaker, of a few acts of resistance by elements, Mr. Speaker, who don't support development, who want to scare our contractors. But we've been working with the Minister of Interior and Minister of Defense to ensure that this is delivered and delivered on time, Mr. Speaker, to change the North to become the land of opportunity. Mr. Speaker, on the question of Masara Road, I think the Honourable Member knows that we have made comprehensive answer, and it's unanswered. I don't want to repeat myself. The only thing I want to assure him is that we are looking for ways to ensure it's motorable at this period, at this time because of the rain. Mr. Speaker, the Illicit Road, asked by both Honourable Haika and Honourable Parashina, Mr. Speaker of Kajiado South. Mr. Speaker, the Illicit Road is part of the few roads that have been identified for annuity project, and it's part of Lot 32 of the annuity program. It's a very important project for us. It should have been completed many years ago, but you know the negotiation project of annuity, it takes long. In the ministry, the reports that we have done, Mr. Speaker, show that if we were going to continue to deliver this road under annuity project, it's going to be very, very expensive. We are going to use up to, for the period, we are going to maintain this road up to 23 billion. Mr. Speaker, we think that for a road of 67 kilometers, it may not be viable to spend that amount of money, yet in an EPC contract, you can spend about 5 to 6 billion. We are in negotiation with the contractor because he has spent money to prepare for, Mr. Speaker, this annuity project. We are having consultations as a ministry to request them to perhaps find a way, and in keeping with our procurement laws, of turning the contractor to be an EPC contractor, Mr. Speaker, so that then he can perhaps save something from the resources he has spent in structuring this annuity project, but at the same time deliver the project under EPC contract. Mr. Speaker, I have had also consultation with leaders, and soon when I meet Kajiado and Taita Taveta, we will perhaps have had an answer at the progress when we will have reached. Mr. Speaker, allow me to, Mr. Speaker, skip the question by my namesake, Honorable Ngogoyo of Kajiado North, Mr. Speaker, so that I conclude with it. Mr. Speaker, on the question of Honorable Pepela of the Musingu Road, again, it falls within the same rubric of roads that are suffering because of finances. And Mr. Speaker, we are going to make sure that we prioritize. In fact, I dare say that I invite the honorable member and the team of Kakamega to be the Bungoma, sorry, for Bungoma, to be the next team that will come for a meeting with us after Kajiado, Mr. Speaker, in the second week of next month, so that, Mr. Speaker, we can have comprehensive conversation on all these roads and the status. The good thing with the meetings when we have is that all the agencies are sitting there and solutions to these problems are discussed collectively, both county and national, but also with, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. And I think I'll extend it to Honorable Pepela and his team from Bungoma for a conversation on the same. Now, Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, my friend Honorable Ngogoyo has asked a very, Mr. Speaker, very serious question on road safety. Mr. Speaker, you know this is very dear. In fact, I came here with a very heavy heart because I've been having meetings with NTSA and other ministry officials. Mr. Speaker, before I came here, there is instructions that, Mr. Speaker, I issued to NTSA for certain measures to be put in place. Perhaps that will help. And with your permission, Mr. Speaker, if you can allow me 3 minutes, I can read a few of them, not all of them, but for the record of this House and for the country. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge what my colleague has said, and it's very painful to imagine, Mr. Speaker, that children who are going home from school could not reach home, Mr. Speaker, because of a road accident. And in fact, that incident, Mr. Speaker, is extremely unfortunate because the driver of the vehicle was outrightly overtaking in a place that other vehicles were queuing, Mr. Speaker, in Dalame area. And you all know he was trying to get into the junction between Maimayu and Kinungi Road by force, Mr. Speaker. And then he met with the lorry head-on, and we lost our dear children. I feel pained as a cabinet secretary in charge of this sector. Sometimes I wish that driver, I would find him and do something, Mr. Speaker, about him. But, Mr. Speaker, that's the truth, that the problem is that as a cabinet secretary in a sector like this, you also have to carry the burden of bad manners and bad behaviors of individuals, Mr. Speaker, who have caused havoc in our roads. But that, as it may be, I take responsibility that this job is in my docket, and I must continue doing everything humanly possible to provide leadership as to what we are going to do. And as a result, today, Mr. Speaker, I have directed the NTSA to do the following. One, that school transportation shall not be allowed to operate between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. in line with Traffic Amendment Act 2017, Mr. Speaker, effective immediately. Mr. Speaker, all school children must be allocated seats with functional seat belts put on at all time. And we should not ignore to say you are small-bodied, you can be carried, squeezed in a matatu. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, school vans, buses, and matatus that are unroadworthy must be removed from the roads with immediate effect. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, in the implementation of the Intelligence Road Safety Management System, all heavy commercial operators must ensure vehicles with tare weight of 3,049 kilograms and above are fitted with speed limiters effective immediately. Mr. Speaker, in compliance with standards 2295 of 2018, all the 57 licensed speed limiter vendor must install approved gadgets that will limit speed, record speed data after every 5 seconds, transmit data to both the NTSA and vendor servers, and report violations real time, Mr. Speaker. To ensure all public service vehicles operate with functional speed limiters and multi-agency functional speed limiters, a multi-agency clinic shall be formed to verify and validate all speed limiters from 25th of April 2023 to 31st May 2023. All stakeholders, including public transport operators, speed limiter vendors, and the National Police Service, will be incorporated into this multi-agency exercise. Number 7, all black spot management, I wish to direct that Kenya National Highway Authority, Kenya Urban Roads Authority, and the Kenya Transport and Safety Authority to work expeditiously to complete the ongoing road safety audits on all black spots and ensure safety interventions, including installation of signage, reflectors, and street lighting within the next 30 days. Additionally, all infrastructure around school should be audited and declared school zones with necessary road furniture for the safety of our school children within the next 6 months. I have further instructed the road agencies to ensure cameras have been installed in all black spots. The first phase to be completed within the next 4 months, Mr. Speaker. Section 336 of Cap 403 of Traffic Act provides that a driver of a public service vehicle or a commercial vehicle shall be required to undergo every 3 years a driving test under Section 39 successfully as a condition for each renewal of license. Further, Section 105A1 of Traffic Act provides that a driver of a public service vehicle or a commercial vehicle shall, after every 3 years from the date of issue of driving license, pursuant to Section 30 of the renewal of such license, whichever is the case, undergo, Mr. Speaker, underline, undergo a physical fitness test, including an eye and hearing test by a qualified medical practitioner. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, I have directed that from 1st of June 2023, all PSV drivers and commercial vehicle drivers, upon expiry of their licenses, will be subjected to a mandatory driver retest before renewal of driving license. From 1st of July 2023, all PSV drivers and commercial vehicles drivers will be subjected to a mandatory medical fitness test by a qualified medical practitioner before renewal of their driving licenses. Additionally, all driver trainees will be expected to provide a medical certificate before administration of the NTSA driver test. On the enforcement of proliferation of substandard products in automotive industry, it has been noted from the crash, Mr. Speaker, investigations that most of the crashes are caused by tire burst, brake failure while on high speed, while others were caused by crashing into vehicles mounted with substandard retroflective strip stars, affecting visibility of the road. To address this, I have directed NTSA to form a multi-agency enforcement team, bringing together Anti-Counterfeit Agency, Kenya Bureau of Standards, National Police Service, to weed out distributors and suppliers of substandard products and spare parts. In compliance with Standard Stat 372 of 2019, a passenger vehicle being constructed, this is important, Mr. Speaker, I direct immediate enforcement of anti-rolling bars, installation of seat belts, and proper anchorage of seats on all public service vehicles, including matatu, omnibuses, and buses. Additionally, I have tasked NTSA through the Motor Vehicle Inspection Unit to validate and take necessary action against non-compliant vehicles. Mr. Speaker, the last measure, as the 11th measure, Mr. Speaker, to support a post-crash management and in implementation of Regulation 11G of the PSV Regulation 2014, all long-distance public service vehicles, PSV, are directed to subscribe to an accident and emergency system with immediate effect. In addition to this, the vehicles are required to prominently display the details of subscription as public information and for passenger reference. Mr. Speaker, additionally, I have instructed NTSA to submit a list of non-compliant public service vehicles and heavy commercial vehicles to the Insurance Regulatory Authority for assessment of the insurance policies within the next 7 days. In the long term, for effective implementation of the same, I further direct the NTSA to work on finalizing system integration between them and the insurance sector for real-time data sharing to assist the compliance and enforcement. I also directed that all motor vehicle owners with expired inspection certificates must present their vehicles to nearest the NTSA center for fresh assessment of their roadworthiness within the next 30 days. In conclusion, I assure Kenyans of the ministerial commitment to implement regulations, policies and laws and enhance behavioral change through training and sensitization to reduce